this. Everybody who's been here before knows what we're doing next. If you're new, grab your remote, have that trigger thumb on the play button, but do not press it, because we are going to do that right now at the same time on the count of 3.
So we're not watching the Bob Ross documentary?
We are not watching
Not
but I do want to watch the Bob Ross documentary. We need to put that down
Same.
on Remarcus. That's
Devin,
happening.
will you come back if we do?
We actually did a sketch about him when I was in an a cappella group at Yale. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait. All I had to see was happy accidents, and then under suspenseful what was a suspenseful scandal. I was like, wait, what the
Did you say
True
you went
crime.
to Yale, Devin?
I know, that's what I was like.
Yes, he really did.
That's
Awesome.
nice.
It's appropriate for him because they're Bulldogs and he's like in a Yale alumnus. And I was going to say that, but everybody was talking, so I didn't really get a chance.
Wait a second, Devin, you went to Yale.
Yeah.
And also Bob Ross went to Yale.
I don't know about Bob Ross going to Yale, but I
No, I'm kidding.
He just loves Bob Ross so much.
All right, we're 18 minutes in.
When do we ever
We're having a
start
good time, but we should really start this. We're gonna do this at the same time on the count of 3. Are we all ready to go?
Oh,
Yeah.
to go.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
1, 2, 3.
Look at that pout.
So
Curly
proud of you.
hair.
I've tried to pull this off on people. It doesn't work.
I wish.
I've done this to my mother 3 times. It's great.
Did they
Spoken to her
always
with
have a
curls?
stained glass window?
Yes.
Similar with web video, I'll like freeze, just completely freeze as if the video froze. That never works, ever works.
There used to be Yahoo like spam bots or bots trying to fish people when I was in high school, and sometimes I would mimic them and pretend to be the bot and then be like, surprise, it's not the bot, it's me.
It's a good one.
Did anyone else notice last night that that's a different couch?
Yes, maybe you didn't hear me,
That's
Shirley, but it
Lorelai's
looks like she
couch.
redecorated.
Didn't, but you're right.
No, that's Lorelai's couch. That's
Well-
not.
It's different from the original couch. I know. See,
Right, but I think that when they
When they
redid the
remodeled.
house, that's the couch they got when they remodeled everything.
she also had to
Yeah, I
get
just
rid of
never noticed.
everything because of Luke.
And Devin, this
Right.
is what we mean when we say we talk about the most random things. We are hung up on a couch.
I mean,
Especially in the intro. We're like,
you already set the bar pretty high with the beheadings. So
That's true.
Absolutely. And
which
also
perfectly I
they
said as Sean Gunn came on screen.
We've been
Oh,
talking
Sean.
about Luke's hat for the past couple of episodes too.
oh,
It's
but-
horrendous.
Yeah, we hate
it's
it.
so bad.
We hate his hat.
we
hate his
hate
hat.
the
You're
Connecticut
gonna have to
defense.
chime in when we see the hat.
Well,
Don't put me with you guys with that. I don't hate nothing.
I
Okay.
think
Okay,
when you
Lily.
behead something, if you behead anyone, their hat comes right off.
What I'm hearing is we now have to kill off Luke as well.
Okay. I will fight you.
So some rumblings that I've noticed from being on group, since the festival, is a lot of people who are not into this guy, who have issues with
Yeah,
him.
that's
And he was always so nice.
that's the general consensus, is that the character is mostly disliked. But I
Not
feel
me.
like
I'm a
there's
huge
been-
Chris fan.
So
I know, but I do feel like this watch that there's been a little bit of headway in smoothing out some of except for Lily. She'll
Yeah,
she'll
I
hate him
don't
forever.
hate. I don't hate Chris. I don't like him with Lorelai.
You really called me out there, dude.
I wasn't
Yes, no.
here last night.
Chris
How
nor
did you
David.
feel about Chris last night?
He was great last night.
Have our
This is
cabinets
taking a
always
turn,
been
this whole
green?
conversation.
They were
Yes.
yellow.
What did you say, Devon?
I was saying this is taking a turn. Some of the innuendo.
And the kitchen
Chris-
floor
Chris was-
used to
Chris was
be
great
a
last
different.
time.
This is like the jam
Dirty.
stress story.
Oh, yes.
That's pretty much when everyone opens their mail, right? Like no one actually opens their mail every day anymore.
About
What?
every 4
I
days.
try to if I'm expecting something.
Yeah, when I expect things and I see that it's there, it's open.
If you're waiting for something, but if you have no idea.
I open my mail when I get it.
I still
Me
do
too.
mine
That
about
sounds so logical.
I still do mine
Yes.
about once a week or every 4 days, depending, unless I'm expecting something.
But I have teens that will get the mail and put it somewhere and it'll never be seen again.
Oh, yeah. My thing is I'll open the mail, but then I forget when it's something important. I put it down and completely forget to follow up on it.
Well, Kelly opens her mail about once every 2 months, and it's a problem. She's missed checks and
Yes, that's
Other
my
important things.
problem is the checks that are supposed to go to the doctors that never get to them, and then I have to have them reissued.
yeah.
How realistic was this kind of stuff, Devin? Like being an actual Yale alum, like parent weekend, and I mean that sounds very elementary school to me.
It was interesting. I mean, obviously, a lot of people were way too far for parents to actually show up. But the parents who were close by absolutely did, and did geek out sometimes the way this guy's geeking out.
Huh.
Yeah, it was cute. it was a cute sort of multi-generational experience for a lot of people, especially because of course there were people who were parents who were alums. So
And what about these Yale shots? Do they take you out, or are you like, you know what, they did pretty good, like that kind of reminds me of it or looks like it, or are you like, no, not at all?
they did great most of the time. They actually did have some, a lot of shots that obviously were there that they had grabbed whenever they went and grabbed them. All the interiors are fantastic. They clearly did their homework and they
Whoa, cool.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Even like the placards that give the that's not the way the exterior placards look really, but the ones on the walls inside are pretty accurate.
That's really cool. I mean, of course, because outside they had to shoot somewhere here in Los Angeles, but inside they could totally build that in a set.
Right. So they built it in, and that whole, especially that whole Yale Daily News, hallway just outside the office, all of that it looked very much like one of the main classroom buildings. So.
Didn't they use UCLA for that?
Say again?
Didn't they use UCLA when they were filming the school scenes?
The exteriors.
Yeah.
I want that sweater. Oh my god.
I had a friend
with
who
the hat.
Not the blue one, the green one.
I had a friend who was the editor of the Yale Daily News in the early 2000s, and he told me that the staff of Gilmore Girls came and shadowed them for accuracy.
That's so cool.
She left her
cool.
lunch, buddy.
Devin, what about football and homecoming and sports and all of that at Yale? Is it a pretty big?
It was big, yeah. All that stuff was big, especially, of course, the big Harvard game, which is pretentious enough that they just call it the game.
That's great. Forget about all the others that are there.
Everything else is secondary to the game. And yeah, so people pack into the Yale Bowl from both Yale and Harvard. It's always the weekend before Thanksgiving, and And it's huge. It kind of determines who everyone thinks that the best academic institution is the outcome of that one football game.
Football determines who's a better academic institution.
Yes, it determines it for the whole next year. They're just like, okay, Harvard this year. All right. We had a bad run for a while when I was there. I think we lost 3 out of 4 years.
So Harvard was the better. You should have gone to Harvard, is what you're saying.
We were number 2.
Is Suki's hair lightened in this episode?
I don't think any lighter than the last.
When she turns around, it does look like she almost has some reddish highlights. I
think she
agree
got
with you, John.
Lights, yeah.
It looks like it's growing out. It looks like the front, it's a little bit of a darker root. So maybe that's why it might look a little bit lighter.
Oh, they totally missed an opportunity. They could have had a scene with Lorelai asking Michelle to teach her French and him saying no.
Also, I've seen so many movies and TV shows where Americans keep their eggs in a bowl. Is that common? Because it freaks me out. Why are they in a bowl?
That's nasty.
I wouldn't do it.
I don't know
We
what.
put ours in a bowl.
No.
We have ours in a bowl.
Oh my God. I'm
You're using them
horrified.
regularly.
Are you ill?
Talking about our fruit?
Hey, this is
think
like the
it's because-
freaking 7th actor from Shameless. It is in Gilmore Girls. Like,
Yes,
what?
it is.
Wait, what?
Oh, he's in a lot of.
Mickey's brothers?
He's in a lot of stuff.
Wait, since when is he in Shameless?
Is he a
Since like for a while.
He's
Was he one of Mickey's brothers?
Shameless,
No?
and I've never seen him.
no, he owns the chopper shop that Lip works.
Yeah, Brad.
Oh. Sorry.
No, you're
So
good.
it's Jackson. Were her patterns on her clothes always this elaborate?
Is this supposed to be
Yes,
like
yes.
a little,
Usually.
And they
flirt-
usually have dragonflies. Yeah, she feels guilty because.
Is this like a little bit of a flirty type thing going on?
She's
here?
having a
No.
vegetable affair.
Yeah.
I love it.
This pool looks exactly like the one I used to swim in as a kid, and it's like trauma just watching this scene. Trauma.
Hey, look, it's Mia's daughter.
I feel that. I was terrified of swimming when I was a kid.
Yes,
The
Lily.
deep end.
Yes.
They had to throw me in like
Oh my
at the end of the summer at the day camp. Like all the other kids were like showing how they learned to dive and all that. to the
Oh
parents.
yes.
And I just was like being held in the shallow end by
my
like, the counselor. I
Aw,
was like,
poor
they were like, "Look,
David.
he can do a back float."
Ours used to try and force us to do like basic level. What's the people that sit on the side called? What are they called? The words escaped me.
Lifeguard.
That's the one. Yeah, they used to make us do like basic training of that, which meant we had to dive to the bottom to pick things up. And the panic attacks I had every single time, horrific.
A high school
Those were,
swim team.
Oh, nice.
and yet in some ways those were less anxious times.
Oh yeah. I would kill to be doing diving lessons right now.
No, I turned a corner. Now I'm fine. I actually, when I was on a trip with the Yale acapella group I was in, the Dukesmen, who are now the Dukes, they because they went co-ed. Like,
Thank God it's not a speedo.
We dove into the ocean like idiots.
Oh yeah, great idea.
Stop.
It was
That's
Luke.
so-
Was Luke sort of flirting with the
Yes.
swim teacher,
He was.
or
Yep.
was the swim
Mia
teacher
looked
flirting with him?
She
No,
was
April-
flirting with flirting.
Wait a second.
forced.
Are we gonna get that love story? Is Luke gonna?
Who knows?
Oh, no. Did I lose?
Maybe.
I wouldn't call it a love story.
You overthink
Uh-oh.
things. So Devin,
Did I
John
lose
likes to
her-
predict things. Just
Did
so
I
you
lose
know.
kernels? Did I
Yes.
lose some kernels to Hannah? Is it not going to
We're
be?
not
Hannah?
saying
It's
that.
going to be the swim coach.
We're early days
We're
yet,
not
John.
saying anything.
I have this same dress that Lorelai's wearing. I found it online and I was like, oh, I am totally buying that.
I can
Amazing.
totally see you in it too.
That's a nice dress.
I love that it's got blue accents for Yale.
Yes.
Perfect coloring.
She's traumatized from the time she wore red.
This Yale student needs to
Yeah.
dial it back like 20 times. She's a
Yeah.
little too upbeat.
There were a few.
Yeah, and
I
you
just don't
avoid them
relate
at all
to-
costs.
I don't relate to ever being in the middle there with the G to I. I was always towards the end.
Notice that.
Did your parents
Lorelai
go to
remember-
Parents Weekend?
I think they might have gone once. I
No,
think they
was
might
it
have gone once
embarrassing?
freshman year. Or one of them. Yeah, God, it's so long ago. Hey, look, it's the set.
Yeah. Notice that Lorelai remembered to wear blue this time.
Yeah, she wore
Actually, I
the
have a
Yale,
jacket just like his right now.
the Yale and Harvard game. Lorelai was wearing a crimson shirt,
Oh,
and she got yelled at. So
as well she should have.
who? Lorelai had worn the red shirt. She got
Emily
yelled at
yelled
by,
at her.
made her wear a jacket over it and a scarf to.
Because crimson is Harvard's color.
You know, it's funny because I am noticing the UCLA. I've obviously been to events at UCLA. I'm like, oh yeah, that's UCLA. Why are they cutting back and forth between Los Angeles and New Haven?
Devin, can you tell us where that interior set was?
Stage 18 on the Warner Brothers lot.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Yale
Yeah,
Daily News?
the newsroom. The newsroom.
This
Yeah.
set. Yeah.
That was on a stage.
Were you on the
shadowed-
paper
I
at Yale?
shadowed the director in the next episode. So the next episode, French Twist, I was actually on set. That was the first time that I actually saw that Yale Daily News set firsthand, because I was there.
Devin, did you actually, were you on the paper at Yale? Was there a paper?
There were multiple papers, and I never had the stomach for deadlines that enabled me to join any of them.
Oh, what a mood.
But I was, but I was editor
good
of my
God.
high school newspaper.
So inappropriate.
Once it got pretty serious, because the Yale Daily News is pretty serious. Yeah, there's no way I could write that fast.
It sounds like you got your role from going to Yale and being the editor of your high school paper. Is that correct?
I don't think I told them,
You should have.
but maybe it had something to do with my my affection for Bob Ross. I don't know. Something grabbed them. No, they told me later that I reminded them of one of the writers on the show.
Oh, that's sweet.
That was what I heard later about the overall casting decision. And this was 4 or 5 years after I first auditioned, because I got brought in just as a general interview through my agent, and I don't think I spoke fast enough. He said, speak faster. I'm like, okay. I spoke a tiny bit faster. And then 4.5 years went by before they brought me in for the first episode to read.
That's crazy. Do you remember who you originally read for?
No, I don't remember.
It probably would have been very early days though, season 1. So we should try and guess who you would have been brought in for.
Yeah, it's funny. I never did find out.
Were you going to be Dean?
What about Dean?
I'm guessing that Devin originally read for Dean, Rory's love interest in season 1.
Oh, interesting.
Did you
For
hear
some
the-
reason, the pattern on the front of Lorelai's dress reminds me of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
Oh my God,
Oh,
that's
good
what
call.
I couldn't, I was trying to figure out what I was thinking it was, and that is totally it.
Wait, what? What?
Rory, Lorelai's dress looks like Stitch from Lilo and
patterns.
Stitch.
I'm
Looks
gonna
like his
I'm gonna
ear.
rewind our memories back just a little bit during the swim thing, but that's some serious flirtation that was going
Oh,
on.
yeah.
between
Oh,
the swim
yeah.
Yeah, I was
teacher
trying to
and
say it, but we were too talkative.
folks. Yeah.
There was no
And
subtlety.
Ronald was trying to get her to, to help him the way she was helping Luke. And
Mhm.
Okay, now I can't see anything but Stitch.
Welcome to the party, 'cause that's all I've seen the whole time.
Did you hear them mention the student Facebook? Because this was actually right around the time Facebook was
Yeah.
starting.
I was just talking to Mrs.
Oh my gosh,
Gilmore.
Emily needs to leave.
He thinks that she's married to Emily.
I cannot believe Emily needs to go home. She's annoying me.
But like, how does someone look at Emily and think Christopher's married to her? Like, come on.
Maybe it's a
Money,
second marriage.
money.
I love how Emily's just so shocked that Lorelai's there.
I have
So-
to say, I just got this major sense memory from those chairs. I actually think those
Ooh,
chairs
that
are accurate.
That was a good one.
What
That
a
was a
parent
good
is
one.
a parent is a type, a grandparent is a type of parent.
But also a grand piano
Grand
is a
piano
type of piano, isn't
piano.
it?
Yeah.
I love that.
Good line.
Yeah, Emily is very witty.
So Devin, I'm assuming at Yale, lots of interior paneling, wood paneling on the walls.
Oh yes, this is not a specific hall, but yeah, this definitely evokes multiple halls there. Even the drapes that have the crest on it.
Yeah, I noticed those too. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was, and just a lot of paintings of people that you don't know.
Dead white guys.
Very, very, yes. 1701.
See, there we go. That was it right there. We were talking about this last night. Emily sees Lorelai as constantly mocking her whole world.
Yeah.
But when really she didn't want to come because it's like, oh, the parents that come here hate their kids and they have to do this. I love my kids, so therefore I don't have to do it. Like,
Yeah, but
it had
just-
nothing to
just
do with
goes-
I'm gonna.
It's just going back to the discussion where it's like, like is Lorelai as nasty as her mother is when they like are kind of, hitting each other with their various, like Emily is much more direct with how she insults. Lorelai is much more passive about it, but it's read by Emily as constant mocking.
Mm. And that's interesting because it just echoes the overall futility of trying to not be your parents, because all of your efforts to not be them just makes you sort of them in a different way.
Yeah, totally. Yes, I mean that's been a big theme of our discussions, is how similar is Lorelai really to Emily, and I think much more than Lorelai would care to it.
Mm. Yeah, just with her own flair.
It amazes me that people actually take these classes and are just like sitting there like so interested and not falling asleep.
Chris is so
Nice.
enthralled.
I actually really liked the one astronomy class I took when I was there. But it wasn't the one. I think the one year my parents did come, it wasn't the one my parents went to.
The woman behind Lorelai reminds me a bit of Allison Jane.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Oh, totally, yeah.
What if that is
I
her?
got to
is
have 6 lines with her on the West Wing.
That's
awesome.
It's funny that they wouldn't finish. They didn't finish the "When You Assume You Make an Ass Out of You and Me," but they had no problem in that previous season having TJ go, "You're a dick."
But
Uh-huh.
it's TJ. Of course you would say it out loud.
Right, but clearly they stopped it because they didn't think that the network would be cool. Whereas when Amy was on the show, it was like, nah, we're doing it.
So this is a strange fact. This classroom, which would never be this small for this kind of class, this was the Yale Daily News set. They just took out all the desks. They took out all the computers and desks and everything, and they just put
that's
those
awesome.
risers up.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
That's super
like at
cool.
one point when I was there early, they hadn't yet converted it, and it was the classroom.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then they took out the chairs and the risers, and they put the desks back, and that was our set.
So do the chairs and risers cover that wall in the newsroom set where it's all the old papers on the back wall, that design?
Did
Was that a
ever
Yeah,
win?
like which direction were the seats, and what part of that Yale Daily News was it on the side where
The
Paris's
seats-
office would have been, or
No,
were the chairs
the-
on the other side?
the seats were on the opposite side of
Got
her
it.
bunker.
Got it.
So the lecturer there was standing pretty close to her bunker.
Got it.
The bunker. I love how you're calling it the bunker still.
Yeah, I
And
called
we
it
know
the office.
exactly, we know
I-
exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I called it the office. Devin went straight in. It's like
It's a bunker.
Oh, yeah.
How I knew it. That's
Now, John, do you like this, that it's a snapback instead of the fitted hat now?
It's a little bit better because it's a snapback. Yes.
And it doesn't
Wait.
cover his ears.
Wait,
And-
Kirk is breaking up with Lulu?
Yes, because she's too clingy.
Lulu is perfect
That
for him.
snapback does look a little wide though. I mean, it looks like the snap is across his entire forehead. That's a little weird.
Yeah, I actually had talked to Valerie about the hat yesterday.
Maybe it was a
And
kid's
with,
hat.
with it over his ears and everything, she goes, that was probably Scott, but she actually didn't dress him in season 7. She said the hat was probably too
These
big for
extra
him.
reactions are hilarious.
Devin,
Tell
snapback or
him.
fitted hat?
fitted.
That was the debate the other day.
I think fitted are overall the way to go.
Oh goodness.
Oh,
We don't
no.
agree.
Snapback.
Get out of here.
I agree. I like the fitted hats.
I like fitted hats, but not backwards.
Okay,
I've never been
backwards,
able
okay,
to
has
pull
it-
off
I like and have
backwards.
both and wear them both the same.
Hey.
you guys totally just talked over everything that Luke said to.
No, that was such a good.
You mean the
little-
whole episode?
Mhm.
Oh,
Basically.
I got it. I have subtitles on, so I read
Okay,
it.
good.
Today.
It's me on the hat talk.
Also, very quickly, Diane, you remind me of
And-
Lulu. Just your very happy energy.
Oh, thank you. Actually,
She
some of
is Lulu.
Diane is
call me
Lulu.
Lulu. Yeah, that's my little nickname.
What were you going to say, John?
So did you have any input on Bill's style, or did you come in and they're like, this
Yeah,
is Bill?
the sweater vest. I like that.
That
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 look-
was all them.
You're not a sweater
Um,
vest guy.
I'm well, I've become a bit more of a sweater vest guy, but I only have one. They had a new one for me every time. I definitely don't have as many as Bill has. It gave me a nice, insight into the character right away, though.
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw- by the time I got to the second episode, I was like, okay, this is going to be every time. So
Creme brulee.
And be
Ooh,
like,
the
Yeah.
We're
creme
getting
brulee.
closer to some creme brulee.
They're taking Rory to the place that Richard and Emily were going to take her.
That is the most affectionate we've ever seen Paris.
Oh yeah. And kissing both cheeks. She's
Yeah.
so European.
Maybe she heard they're going to France.
and more creme brulee.
Hey, the guy with the glasses is kind of familiar. Anyone know?
I always forget Danny Pudi is in this.
Rory's like, really? Come on.
Devin,
Whenever
you
this is a little side note on that, is that whenever Sean's dad came to DePaul, visited DePaul, he did something similar. Like all of us would go out to dinner with them. He was very generous in that way.
Yes, yeah. So where was this filmed, Devin? The rest-
Same. It was still Warner Brothers, stage 18, just elsewhere in the soundstage. So yeah, it was a very short walk.
But
this scene took forever. This was like the longest scene to shoot because they had to shoot it so many different ways with that many people around the round table, and get all these different angles. And then this shot was actually, the camera was in the center of the table.
We're getting closer to creme brulee.
Yeah, I've never had creme brulee. They spread out the table and put the camera in the center for some of the shots. But that took forever, and it was like a completely different table.
Devin, do you like creme brulee? Is that a
I
dessert?
love creme brulee.
I'm like Bill, I've never had creme brulee.
I have not had creme
It's
brulee
so
either.
yummy.
Pretty good. I would love creme brulee and a cognac right now.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes if you don't want to get the crunchy stuff in your teeth, you can just get a flan. Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, flan is yummy.
They all look so young, like babies.
So there were a series of lines here that got cut, and that kind of gave me the foreshadowing that our Yale Daily News plot thread was coming to an end when they cut them. There were all these extra lines between me and Paris that showed, since we're all supposed to be tipsy in this scene.
They cut the drunk acting. Oh no, that's John's favorite.
And it was, I was like admitting my hidden love for her.
Oh no.
Amazing. John actually collects hidden drunk actors.
I can't believe we'd never get to see him admitting that he's in love with Paris.
Yeah, that's a huge loss.
Incredible.
You do realize that
setting
this is
up
the
something.
entire creme brulee scene, right?
It is. Yeah.
Drunk acting.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had my subtitles on.
That's a lot of creme brulee.
That's an awful lot of
Drink
creme
all-
brulee. Let's take that home.
Yeah, I don't
Wow.
understand why she couldn't let them have 2 seconds to have their creme brulee.
Yeah, she's hard. She's hard.
She
a
snapped
great
into
actor.
boss mode.
I'm really always confused about how you get creme brulee to go though. So, because it kind of
Yeah, you can't take it out of
you
those.
gotta eat it in the
ramekins.
ramekin.
I've done it. I've gone
Oh.
for it. It didn't change it that much.
Oh, it's date time.
There's a
Are you
reason I
ready for the
really
love
wanted to
story,
get on the
John?
couch, and it's
Lorelai wasn't allowed in April's life, but Lane is.
Uh-huh.
She works there.
I know, but Lorelai was engaged to him. You know what I mean? It's just funny.
Very true.
More from Anna's perspective, like he's leaving April with a stranger, technically, and Anna had no issue.
Well, she's
know, I've
in New
never actually
Mexico.
played
She doesn't know.
Wrong choice.
I've
She
never
could have been in
played
Queen's
Boggle.
Gambit.
What was that, Devin?
I was telling her wrong choice to switch to Boggle. She could have been in Queen's Gambit.
Oh, that's such a
Boggle's
good
so-
series.
Great
Queen's
series, yeah.
Ooh, we got a little bit of
She
little
wants
bit
it
of
on the
love,
same
little bit of
side.
love in the air here.
John, the excitement in your voice.
What is with sitting next to her?
Yeah,
So-
it's
Yeah,
very
she
weird. There's
she
not-
told him to do it.
Yeah, I know,
you
but there's
know.
not. That is the weirdest thing.
The draft, it's on me. I can't sit on this side. Sorry.
We do that sometimes.
soy steak
actually.
sounds disgusting.
You
No.
sit on the same side, Devin?
Sometimes Kelly and I sit on the same side.
But
yeah.
on the first date,
What?
you two?
But y'all
not on an early
together
date
for
though.
so long, so that
Yeah.
really makes
Yeah.
Not on a first date.
When you're getting to know each other and you're gonna do nothing but talk, you kind of have to sit opposite each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, similar to the drunk acting, this is the semi turned on acting right from the beginning.
I love
Yeah, and
that
I
name.
it drives me
Semi-turned
nuts that she's trying to insist that he knows who Marlena Dietrich is.
Don't bring up the ex on a first date.
It's the
And-
father of another student.
Exactly. There's a little habit.
She's so spastic.
She's psycho.
I'm
You
offended
hooked
by another psycho vegan in the media, y'all.
I love
I know,
how
it's annoying. I'm a vegan and I'm not like that.
Me too, girl. Yes. No, we are not crazy. We just
I just love that he said that she says, "Oh, you hooked me," and he's like barely said 2 words to her. This is like us at John's party the other night. Half of us were either drunk, hungover, or passed out.
Oh,
Poor Chris.
I love the couple walking behind them is keeping the exact same pace, or they were.
I love that he's like really trying to be so involved and invested in Rory now. It's just sweet.
totally.
Here's the a cappella group.
Hurry,
Oh
run.
my.
But they're not under any of the arches.
Yeah, but these are the official a cappella group. They're all.
I want a full version of this. It's so good.
I want.
Ooh,
this
this
is
is
the real-
good.
I've heard better.
That has to be a proper group
Gosh,
that they brought in.
I want that on. I want that on vinyl.
Right? That's what I just said.
I still have my tuxedo tails.
Aw. Do you have videos to show us?
Were those the actual whiffin' poofs?
Probably.
I wonder. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they actually brought them in.
Because that's why there's so few of them. They probably just said we can afford to bring in like 6 of you guys. Is that cool?
And
they
there
said,
was
"Yeah,
your
just
buddy
enough."
Fred.
Uh-oh.
They probably they brought in just enough for distribution. Like a bass, a couple baritones, a couple second tenors. And
Is this the first time we've seen Jackson this season?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
she's got to
just
hide all the
pulled up-
vegetables from him.
I just pulled up an article from the Yale Daily News that the Whiffs are to sing on Gilmore Girls. So they are in fact the Whiffin' Poofs. And the Yale Daily News reported on it.
She looks so nervous.
She had to
It's like
cover
Oh, he'll notice. He's gonna notice. He knows his vegetables.
Yeah, she feels like she's cheating on.
She
It's
is.
like
I
when
said it,
she
she
fully is.
accidentally flirted. He's not allowed to eat the affair vegetables.
How could she do this to him?
I
mean,
know,
how could
it's
she do this to him?
heartbreaking.
I never thought that it would be Suki, but I'm really sad about
They
what
have
she's done here.
destroyed her character tonight.
You know,
Yeah, there's
having
nothing that
the
I'm
whole
more
affair-
upset about. There's nothing I'm more upset about that the writers in season 7 did than having Suki have an affair.
Well, she had an affair with Joe too. She cheated on.
No,
on
no,
him.
she didn't really go all the way. She went all the way.
She didn't
here.
eat
Like,
his vegetables.
she went all the way. She went to home base, like
Yep.
with
She
with
did.
these vegetables.
I wonder what Luke ate at that restaurant.
Nothing.
That's cute that she had that mind.
It's very sweet.
April was babysitting.
I know that's
Yeah.
funny.
I kind of feel like April doesn't need a babysitter at this point.
Oh,
but
definitely
Yeah.
doesn't. That's
At
I think that's sort of
13,
the joke.
yeah, no.
That's sort of the joke. I think that he just doesn't get. And a Nardini still got a little bit of wiggle room.
Oh boy.
Wiggle it.
Since
just
when
a
does
little.
Luke eat pizza?
Since
Since
he
he got
had
back
to
to,
eat
like,
I wish that
vegan
I
and
had
didn't
some
want
Since
to.
he
right
didn't
now.
need anything.
Yeah,
I
cold
do wish I
pizza
had
or
some
cold
cold pizza right now.
or cold Chinese.
I guess
So he's still
2000
falling
vegan food was like a lot worse.
It's taking shots of Pepto-Bismol.
So Devin, John thinks that Anna Nardini, who is April's mom, is going to like end up getting together with Luke. That's the theory that he mentioned.
Or
to
that
me.
it's going to be alluded to or moved to
Right.
it just has to be that the plot itself has something to do in some way with Anna Nardini and Luke potentially getting. Then I
Not
would.
that
John,
we
you're
gamble
such, a, you're
here.
such a shipper, John. I love how much of a shipper you are.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
I am shipping those two.
It's to die for.
perfect revenge.
That was
Love that shot of
an
Rory.
interesting ending for an episode. Bye.
That was
Bye.
fun.
Okay. See ya. Okay. Episode's over.
We're doing
You sent them
post-show,
off for
right?
their torture.
All right.
We're
So
doing post-show, right?
Yeah.
we are doing post show. Let me open up the app and get the folks who are on the post show reservation list. If you did not reserve for the post show and you are only on the watch, please drop yourself down. But if you did both, keep yourself up here. We actually only have 2 folks joining us for the post show, and that is Shelly and Emma. Those are the only 2 that are on this list. We've got a small post show, which I think is going to be nice. So I'm going to open up this couch, and then Shelly and Emma, please raise your hands.
Hey, Devin, so do you have like a favorite memory from when you were working on set with everybody?
Favorite? That's a tough one.
Hello?
There's a few favorites. Is my connection good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, your
Yep,
connection's
I can
good.
hear
It's
you.
a little
Fine for me.
your voice is a little muffled. I don't know if you have your finger on the
No.
Yeah, you've been a little
Speaker?
hard to hear for me over.
Yeah,
Do you-
I had
do you
to
have an
put
iPhone?
I had to put an earbud in.
Yeah.
Do you have an iPhone 4? No,
I still
I do
do.
actually have an iPhone 4. I
feel
do
like
have
the
an
10
iPhone
is
4.
the 10 is sort of heading there, isn't it? But I have so many favorites, but I keep coming back to the times when I would just be chatting with Liza for like half an hour before we got brought in to set on a certain scene or two. Like we would just hang out outside the trailers, and she's so smart and so fun, and we would just talk and talk and talk. And those were some of my favorite moments, frankly. So it's something that people often also like to hear about, because they're like, you hated each other and the characters hate each other.
You guys
Well,
had
we
so
just
many
found
great
out that Bill
scenes.
was in love with her.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
It
a
was
bomb.
it was this hidden thing that was not in the script until it was, and then it was never shot.
Those have
But
Saw that. Like
I
I
don't know, but actually, I'm sorry, we did shoot it. It just got cut out of the episode.
oh my
We
god.
did shoot it.
We need to
Well,
sign a
you
petition
guys
to get
had a-
that footage.
Do you
Yeah, I was
still
gonna say,
have
you
this
guys had a lot
that
of great
script?
scenes.
Devin, do you still have the script from that?
I do.
Oh my god.
From
do.
what? From
From that
this
episode.
episode?
This
When it still
episode.
had the, yeah, it still had
Yeah,
the
we all
lines in
keep
it
ours.
where
We
I
all
was
keep ours.
admitting
Oh my
to
God.
her. Yeah.
I gotta say my
was-
favorite line that you've ever said was back in the episode where it was a Geller reign of terror.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's a
possibly my favorite
So great.
episode.
Yeah.
that was super fun. It was such a rant, and that was my second episode, and it's when I just really felt like I hit my stride with it, and like the writers were clearly starting to write for my voice, which is what they're so amazing at. As soon as they choose someone to fill that role in more ways than one in the storytelling, then they have the actor, and then once they have the actor, it becomes this sort of dance of oh, this is the vibe of this person, this is the way they speak, and then you can just tell when the lines are sort of written for the way you speak.
I think
and
John
I-
said something identical to that before,
Yeah,
that's-
when they
that's
started,
just-
which
yeah.
is really nice to hear.
Yeah, that's totally true. Reason why, for the most part, pilots are they're kind of considered, most pilots, to be they're usually not very good, and you give them a pass because the writers don't know the actors yet. They don't really know the world that they're writing to yet. And then about midway through that first season, if it's got enough going on, if there's enough interesting stuff in the script, then you start to see all of that start to gel, and that's what's happening. The writers are developing relationships to the actors. They starting to come up with ideas for their characters based on what they see from those actors on set, and at lunch. I mean, we're all hanging out together at lunch and whatnot. So yeah, you start to see that. I mean, like my character, the Brian character doesn't really develop all of that like Futurama kind of nerdy stuff until a little bit deeper into the show. In the beginning, he's sort of general nerd. Doesn't really have any specific.
Long live the.
So that's the way it is, for sure. And like all of those Yale Daily News folks, like when you first meet them, that's just sort of general studious journalist types, and then they start to hone in on like who are these people and what makes them special, and it almost always comes from the actor itself.
It became, you get the more specific shades of nerd that come out later.
Yes.
Well, is it nerd or is it geek?
It's
because there is a difference.
50 Shades
for sure.
of geek, 50 Shades
Yeah.
of nerd.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think in that the first episode that they had us, the Just Like Gwen and Gavin episode, it was really cool. The writing was all the usual spark of Gilmore Girls writing, but yeah, you can't really tell which character is which, except that Bill seems to already be the one who's the most angry.
Right.
With Paris. but aside from that, there's nothing else that really distinguishes us. And then that changed, right away. I feel like with the second one.
I mean, I also feel like the Bill character was also the Glenn character. Glenn and Bill, for me, in the Yale Daily News, were the most distinctive characters. I mean, it's very clear that that when they cast you and Glenn, that they kind of had some vision for where they wanted the character to go, because you two, like, they gave the most interesting attire, like clothing and just little bits of affectations that tell me that they had a bit of an idea of at least where they wanted to go with your characters, whereas some of the others are just sort of a little bit more general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
those sweater vests are just
yeah, in a few seconds of screen time, you know a lot about this guy.
Exactly. Yeah. And the same,
you
and I
guys
feel the
had
same way
good
about
desk
Glenn.
placements. Your desks were right next to the two main female characters, and
Yeah.
Were you undergrad or were you grad at Yale? Were you Yale School of Drama?
No, I was undergrad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Yale College.
Yale has a very, very, very good school of drama in their graduate program.
Yeah, and we got to, it was a pretty hard line between the two schools, of course, but we did get to, dip our toe in over at the School of Drama here and there if we were combined theater majors, which I was. I combined it with psychology and philosophy, but I did get to take one class. Like a lot of the teachers, there was some overlap, and I got to take one class that was basically like almost like a drama school class. It wasn't obviously wasn't, but it was, it was a professor who also taught at the drama school, and there was a tiny bit of overlap. But yeah, undergrad. Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. It's funny because when I was putting you into our app as a special guest, I started typing, Devon Michaels has been an experienced actor for a decade. And I was like, I should just check to see if that's correct. Maybe it's a little bit more than a decade. And then I went to your IMDb and I was like, oh, this dude's been acting since the 80s. So what's up there?
Yeah.
Were you child actor?
I was, yeah. I started when I was 11.
Wow.
loved your house up.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was a crazy one.
What
House
was
is
it?
definitely a favorite.
House
I played
MD.
House MD.
See,
Oh,
I was wondering. I was like, this dude looks more familiar from something else. That's probably where I've seen you.
yeah.
Probably where.
I mean,
and
I feel like you have a familiar face. Even when I saw you at FanFest, I mean, of course, I'm sure that I remember you from being on set because, as I said, the next episode that's coming up, which is an episode that I was in, but I also asked the director if I could shadow her because I was at that time I was pursuing directing and so I was there, and I feel like I probably saw you on set, but I also feel like maybe I've seen you also in stuff in the 90s and whatnot, maybe.
Yeah, well, I came out to LA in the end of '98.
So a couple years before me.
Yeah. So I started doing, I did a Frasier episode. I did a couple other little things, small roles, but just was getting some of those adult credits. Well, not adult credits, but credits as an adult, as opposed to the ones where I was a kid when I was living in New York. And so I grew up in New York on Long Island, and I would my Kate and Allie episode, I was like 14 or 15. And they shot that at the Ed Sullivan Theater, which then, became where they do the Late Show with Letterman and Mount Colbert. And that was that, that's why I was on it, because it was a New York based show. And that's where I was when I was 14, 15. But then there was a huge gap where I went and became a regular high schooler, and like when I was 16, 17, 18, and went to Yale, and was kind of out of it, out of the business, mostly because I was in school. So the first couple of years after college, I stayed in the city. I stayed in New York City, and was not just acting. I was doing some video editing. I wasn't sure what I was really doing, some documentary work, and then came out here. So there's a big gap in my TV credits because of that. It went from basically being like 15 years old to being probably 26 when I got my first credit out here.
That's interesting. That's like a decade, over a
Yeah.
decade.
Yeah.
And that
That's what you
is
meant
that
to say in the intro. He went a decade not acting.
God, yeah, I should have said that. But is that what you wanted to do, or were you thinking like, oh no, like this acting thing that you were doing throughout your childhood, I really want to do something different, or like when you came back to acting, was it like, I'm really eager to get back to this, I've just had to stay away because of life and school and getting a degree and all of that kind of stuff, but now that that's done, I can go focus on what I want to do? Or was it more like, yeah, I'll do this thing that I once did before, and then suddenly you realize that that's what you were doing?
I mean, I wish I were that conscious of how I was, passing out my life. I was mostly thinking about my heart being broken by, my first serious girlfriend. And
Yeah, the old heartbroken by the first serious girlfriend dilemma.
Yeah, I spent most of my first year and a half in New York City. It was mostly just, depression and drinking and.
Oof. And then you decided to become an actor. It's usually the other way around, right? The drinking,
Well,
and the depression happens like while you're an actor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pivot very quickly into the episode. Did you get anything from this? Was there any specifics in this episode that you were like that made any sense to you? And if they didn't, you can totally be honest. I mean, I know that you didn't watch a lot of the show, but like, were any aspects of, what we saw, like, did they resonate in any way?
I always admire the writing. Every episode I watch of this show, even if it's only been 10 or 11 total episodes. I really like the whole Luke's daughter thing. I know some people,
I love it.
I've heard issues with it, but I think it's really cute, and she's a really good little actor. Now she's not little anymore. But
I love it, and it's become almost like
actor.
it's almost become like a rebellious love, because I know that the fandom, a large portion of the fandom really, really, really doesn't love that storyline, and I just keep on liking it, and I keep on liking it more, and now I feel like it's almost a bit rebellious. Like, I want to be the black sheep of the fandom. that is like, that's an awesome storyline, and I love it, and also, by the way, the way I'm feeling is that he's developing something that he needs before he goes back to Lorelai. And like, I do think he's going to eventually go back to Lorelai, but he's developing something that he needs before he returns to that relationship.
I totally agree, and I'm in your camp completely on this. I feel like I think you hit it on the head. That's why it strikes me, even just having watched a handful of episodes, that truism that he needs to learn something from her.
Yeah.
And there's an important development that he needs as a person, and what a great way for him to get it from this precocious little girl.
Totally. And there's like an episode early in the series that I'm imagining that you haven't seen or wouldn't know, but it's an interesting one in the context of Luke, because it's about his uncle Louis, who just died, and the whole town just can't stand the guy. Like, and so Luke is trying to plan a funeral for him and wants to get everybody to go, and everyone's just like, we could never stand that guy. He was the worst. He was just a grouchy, grumpy, angry man who is just a nasty human being, and we're not going to help you. And it's this dilemma that Luke has, like, you know, to try and, like, you know, pay respects to this man who is his uncle, and yeah. But what's really interesting is that in the episode, you kind of get a glimpse into Luke's own feelings about himself and the worry that he himself could or is sort of a Louis in the making, a grouchy, grumpy guy who will one day kind of die alone, and the whole town hates him. And I kind of am of the feeling that, like, he could potentially be on a path towards that, but that it's people like Lorelai, and now I think April, allowing him to understand what it means to be a father, that would prevent that from happening. And that's what I find so awesome about that storyline.
Harvest.
Yeah.
Harvest your kernels. That's what we call it when you earn your currency, or your in-game currency for reserving and attending an event. It's called harvesting kernels, and that's what people are doing right now. They're scrambling to harvest.
I can just see John and Devon rebelling against the fan fest on the storyline.
Yep.
What, really? Do you think that the fan fest is going to just completely like, no, go
You are going to be
We're gonna turn
kicked
on
out
it.
of Fan Fest.
they're gonna be all like from the audience, get out of here, like tomatoes flying.
2 against 400.
No, we're gonna be it'll have to be throwing kernels of corn.
You two are gonna have to stand tall next to each other up there on stage against the 400 fans.
I'll be like, we stand with April. We stand with April. Just getting hit in the head with like ears of corn.
A protest.
We're not going to be able to get.
I actually like April.
I just didn't like how Luke handled everything. But I absolutely love April.
Yeah, I like April. It's Anna I don't like.
I don't like.
I don't like either
Uh-oh.
one of them.
Well, so we're gonna have some discussions when Luke and Anna have their first love scene this season, huh?
Absolutely.
Ew.
I mean, your
John?
100 kernels aren't safe yet.
John just lives for
Can you
chaos.
feel the ick? Can you feel? Can you hear that ick?
Can you feel
So much
the
love.
ick to
Oh God, no,
my-
please, no singing.
And look, I was already in trouble for liking Chris from the beginning. So
Yeah.
I have 2
Yeah, that
reasons
can
for
get you in a
everyone to
lot of
say,
that can get you in a lot of trouble. I've learned you have to ease into that, like, you have to you have to have
Chris,
lots of
You
arguments.
aren't allowed.
Well,
Trash.
But a lot of people, the whole thing with Chris is that a lot of people don't necessarily hate him as a character. They just don't like him with
Lorelai. They don't
a
like
lot
him
of people,
with Lorelai.
and not generally. I know personally, I don't like him with her.
I think his
and actually, and I think that
Lorelai.
and last night we discussed a little bit, and I think I got a little closer to understanding one of the big problems with the Lorelai Christopher relationship, and I really think that it boils down to like a huge imbalance in like the power dynamic between the two of them. I think that she's so in control, and he's so
Not.
weak and doesn't,
doormat.
and just kind of gives into everything. Yeah, a doormat, like, essentially. And that over time, that the dynamic in their relationship would be so out of whack, she would just basically have him like scrubbing the floor with a toothbrush and
to make up for Gigi.
and so I think she does need somebody who challenges her a little bit more, and that they can kind of come together and be equals. And that's probably Luke, but neither of them are really in the place right now. And I think a big part of why they're not there is I do think that Luke needs to learn how to compromise a little bit more on his feelings. And I think that no better way to learn that than by being a parent. And so I think that this storyline is, I'm feeling like it was actually created to help Luke get there. That like maybe the writers in season 6 were like, how in the heck can we really realistically get these two together? They've got way too many problems, and Luke especially has way too many problems. And it's like, he needs to be a dad for a bit. Like, you know, he needs to learn what that is.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well said, John.
And isn't it nice that both of them in this episode were learning that, or trying to in different ways?
Yeah. What do you mean? Like you're talking about
to Luke?
both Chris
Yeah.
and
To
Luke.
be a good
Yes.
father.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
is nice. It's a very nice parallel. I hadn't really thought of it that way before.
I mean, look, that was the longest stretch of us not talking. We were all being so respectful during that one like 2-minute stretch when they were just walking and talking, and he was being all regretful about missing all those years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tasha, we could tell
stuck
Tasha
out.
was a little wanted a little more peace and quiet into some spots of the
Yeah.
episode.
Well, like we talk over, especially the Luke and like Kirk part where he was.
Yeah, but
like,
I had my subtitles on. I got all of that.
Yeah, but
we
my
have to
favorite
trust
part was-
John.
Yeah, like with that part, if we can just like if I can just make a comment on just that part, I thought it was really funny because like Luke is like, so he's like a low-key cheerleader for Kirk, and like actually having someone in his life that will tolerate him besides his mother. And when Luke was saying, if you say one unkind word to that lovely woman, I will break every bone in your body.
It is great. I love that scene.
Yeah, I love that too. Yeah.
Luke's cheerleader for him. It always makes me smile how much he cares about him, even though he puts it under the guise of like he's annoying and like whatever. Like he
Like the
really
brother
does
thing.
for him. Yeah, exactly. They're like brothers.
Oh,
and-
absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely the closest that's the closest that Kirk comes to having a brother, even though he actually has real brothers.
Yep. He was 12.
I always imagine Kirk's family to be like a bunch of older siblings that are way, way older, and then Kirk being like 7, 8, 9 years younger. So they were all out of the house. Nobody really paid attention to him.
Right.
And his mom was just exhausted.
Yeah.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
I always just imagine it as a bunch of Kirk clones, but with different clothes, and that's what each brother is.
Brothers
Oh my
and
goodness.
sisters. Yeah, man.
And
Oh,
what
God.
if like what if every one of Kirk's brothers is living in a small town and is the Kirk of their town?
Yeah.
I
Wouldn't be
love
surprised.
that.
I imagine all of the siblings look like Kirk, except for, well, the mom looks like Taylor in a wig.
Oh no.
Well, we know that never mind. That made me lose my.
We just have to start brainstorming these spin-off series that are all
Get
mini
the
Kirks.
guns to organize it.
Oh, that's I mean, that is some fan fiction right there. Like that could really expand the Gilmore Girls world on Remarcus if we start to go into like other towns and we like go through like and through the eyes of the various Kirks.
Well,
except that
we
they're
have
not Kirk.
Mick. Mick is what I was gonna say.
The
Mick is a brother.
You think Mick is a brother? Do you think that the Swan guy or Goose guy is a Swan guy or
Swan
Goose
guy.
guy?
Yeah.
Do you think
Absolutely,
Swan guy is a
100%.
different brother, or do you think
It's a
Swan guy
different
is
one.
Kirk, or do you think that Swan guy is Mick?
Mick's twin.
I think that's
Mixed.
why they all look like Kirk to me in my head, is because we keep seeing him with different names. So like it's just him, but sometimes with glasses and sometimes with different clothes, but they're all just a bunch of Kirk.
Well, think about it. Like they mentioned different towns like Litchfield and Woodbury and things like that. And we never go into that town because that's like satire. But I wonder if they have like their own Luke and their own Lorelai and their own
Oh my
Kirk
gosh.
and Taylor.
You're
and Patty.
really, this is like, this is
Taylor's-
breaking my brain.
Who is it that I can't remember his name, but there is someone in Woodbridge that Taylor refers to as the Woodbridge of his.
The guy who
Oh, yeah,
who-
English
from-
just went out the window.
From
Oh my
from
gosh.
Lip Festival of Lip.
Yeah, he
I'm-
says
I-
there.
I
the-
wanna- I so badly want to write fan fiction
Do
of
it.
an alternate universe in Woodbury that is like all a bunch of characters that are all like the mirror, like the like parallel. It's like a parallel universe of Stars Hollow, and they do have their own Kirk, and it's one of Kirk's brothers.
Hey, Devin, if he
Do
does
it.
that, will you come back and table read it with him?
Absolutely. I think in that parallel universe, Bill has finally worn down Paris, and they decided to move into a beautiful little home in that parallel Stars Hollow.
Oh my God.
Maybe, but
Right now.
also, I mean, if we wanted to really stick to true world building, you might actually be Bill in both. It just might be it might be that in that other series, the Bill character is just a much more featured character. Maybe you're from Woodbury, or maybe you're from somewhere close to Woodbury. I mean, who knows? Maybe Bill is the Rory of the Woodbury version of
Oh my God, you're
Gilmore
blowing my
Girls.
mind.
Bill takes down Doyle
Please
with
write-
his martial arts skills and wins Paris's heart.
Bill
There's
has
a
the
It's like
town
it's a father-son story. Bill is the Rory.
The story of how he got to Yale and met that Paris guy.
Oh
There's this town edict on Fridays. Everyone has to wear sweater vests.
yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's
Wait,
And then of course, and we can already imagine some of the episodes. What about the episode where Bill gets all of the acceptance letters in the mail?
All of them.
yes.
Okay.
I'm already going through and just thinking of all of Rory's big episodes. What about Bill's big birthday episode in
Bill's
season 1
running
of the
with
series?
Mitchum.
Well,
Bill's running
remember,
with Mitch.
remember when that
Yeah, we
big
find out
episode-
that actually Bill was an intern as well. And had to
Maybe
run his
he's the
own
one who
run-in.
made it. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
he
why
had
Rory
it.
got the boot.
Well, what, like, when you mentioned the episode of like the big one, obviously we know what happened in that episode, and it kind of is funny because in this episode Sheila said like a creme brulee virgin.
Yeah.
Mm. Uh-oh.
Bill
That's
turns
right.
soul
Oh my
Paris
goodness, the
when
big
she
one.
doesn't
The
get
big
into
one.
Harvard.
I
That would
think this can tie back into the fact that Devon read for a part in season 1. Maybe he didn't read for Dean, he read for Rory.
Bill has an affair with Dean.
Oh
Yes.
God.
I mean,
Oh
you
my.
think you all think I'm kidding here.
No, I don't.
You all think I'm
We
kidding
really-
here. I
No,
really
we
am
wanna
thinking
see
about.
it.
Well, I'm thinking about creating a memento set, like
Please
like a
do.
memento thing that is like 50 mementos in a row, and each one of the descriptions of the memento is one story, like one
my
page in the
God.
story of this Bill version of Rory that lives in another town. And we just go through all of the big Rory episodes. Each memento gives us a little snapshot of what
16th birthday.
Bill's Rory version.
Do it.
John,
Into the
you
Rory
are
verse.
On you for
Like,
Devin,
that
I
is-
know what you got
That is
yourself into.
that is so my jam.
John,
I'm
I have
going
an idea.
Do it.
to do
You
it.
can make, let's say, 25 mementos, only one edition each, and whoever cracks each gets to read that role at a read through.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
My
Creative
God,
bench
I'm
for
a
it.
genius.
My
Let's
brain
call
is
it-
already
But
tired.
But wait a second.
Devin still
But
has
wait a
to be
second.
Bill.
And the event itself for that read through is the event that releases the next memento in
Yes,
the
yes,
set.
yes, yes.
My brain
yes.
already hurts.
Hello?
My brain.
Let's call it
Hello?
into the Rory verse.
Oh my goodness,
No.
this is
Yeah, we
this
hear
is
you.
Into the
This is
Rory
insane.
verse.
Devin, I'm
This is
so glad you're
insane.
here to see how unhinged we are. This is us
No,
on
this
crack.
is-
So
This
what I
is-
was
But
gonna-
also, hey, John, it's 10:30.
It's 10:30. Devin, we're gonna now